Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, the Cowboy Game Day Live, the post-game show brought to you by Texas Card House, the premier poker experience in the DFW area. The Cowboys get the victory 27-20. Of course, they didn't make it easy on us at the end of the ball game there, but they got the dub. They moved to 5-7. And I know Team Tank is a little frustrated right now, but at least most of you guys can enjoy a Cowboy Thanksgiving Day victory. Get talk a little mess to your coworkers that may be Giant fans tomorrow or next week. But other than that, they walk away 2 in a row. And here we are, Jesse. Cowboys 5-7, and a lot of good to come out this game, even if you ignore the whole tanking situation. I do think there was some good stuff there.
Yeah, and I'll start offensively, man. 2 weeks in a row, we see Mike McCarthy get the running game and keep the running game going. I know that Rico was over 100 yards, and he took a couple of losses. I want to make sure that he stayed above 100 yards.
I think he's well above it, yeah.
Above that 100-yard total. So that's the first time, 112 yards. That's the first time that Cowboys had a rusher over 100 yards in like 26 games. So dating back almost like a season and a half. So it's good that Rico finally got his 100-yard game. The Cowboys got a 100-yard game. They were successful on the ground. Rico ended the day with 22 carries for 112 yards and a touchdown. That's a damn good day right there. It's a
great day.
To do that on the ground with your right tackle. With your right guard being out, your left tackle went out early in this game, and the Cowboys are just still trying to find ways to get the thing going on the ground. So that was a huge thing that, honestly, when you start talking about this, late November, December football, I'm not going to the playoffs. That's still a long shot right now. The Cowboys had a 1% chance of making the playoffs entering this game. But this is what December football is about. December football isn't about, can you throw the ball for 500 yards? Can you throw the ball for 4 or 5 touchdowns? December football is a type of football where you have to be able to line up. Jokers are battered and bruised and hurt, and you're dealing with some injuries, and you're dealing with some fatigue, and the season has gotten long in the tooth. Can you run the football? Can you run the football? And the Cowboys showed today that, despite whoever they're playing against, they lined up and they ran the football efficiently, effectively. And that's a good sign to see in the later part of the football season.
What I like about Rico's game, having a good game against the Giants, who were the worst run defense in the league, that doesn't surprise me. I like how he ran. He looked like a spark player. He had more juice than I've seen him have in his entire career, really. He showed you once again why he's the best back on the football team right now, and he should be the guy that was getting majority of the carries, making guys miss at the line of scrimmage, breaking tackle. Something that the Giants don't do well is tackle, and he made them pay for it. Because how many times do you see the Cowboys go up against a team that has either a bad O-line, bad D-line, bad this, bad that, but then they make that team look good? Rico made those boys pay in the ground game. And it was a little weird at first, not at first, but going into that fourth quarter, they had 31 passing attempts, and I'm like, all right, Mike, we don't need to get cute here, right? Just let Rico kind of ice his game away. And it didn't quite work. It was punt. The Giants get back in it, and then we finally iced the ball game. Was the throw to, who was it? I'm not gonna call that man Cookie, but Brandon Cooks. Come on, Tom. You gotta chill out calling that grown ass man Cookie on Nazareth. Delicious. I ain't calling you delicious.
We'll put that man down the block. I ain't calling no grown man delicious.
Hey, but shouts out to Brandon Cooks, who returned, and it was one of the guys I was looking forward to seeing come back. And like I said, I think we missed his spark and his veteranship in that locker room.
I think that's it right there, the veteranship, right? It's the understanding that on a key third down with no CeeDee Lamb in the game, that I can find this guy and understand where the sticks are, how to get there. And that wasn't that wasn't an easy catch.
No.
That was a difficult catch for a shorter guy to stretch out, all hands catch, to bring it in, get past the sticks, hold on to the ball, complete the catch through the fall. So that was a big play by Brandon Cooks right there when you need it the most. And I think that's the type of thing that he brings at this point in time in his career. Just that ability to understand the moments, to understand the how-tos, and just that veteranship that he brings from being in this league for such a long time.
Yeah, we talked about, utilizing these guys and what their strengths are. And we said, hey, we would like to see more over type routes with Brandon Cooks, more crossers with Brandon Cooks. And yes, he only had 3 receptions, but 2 of them all 3 of them actually came on those exact routes, crossers and overs, right? The touchdown, stutter at the line of scrimmage, and just use your speed to run away. His very first reception, same thing, run away from the defense. And then the big third down, runs a quick out, wasn't necessarily an over, but he got the quick out using his quickness and speed for a first down. So they use Brandon Cooks all 3 times on the move. You didn't see him stop not one single time on one of his targets. So you appreciate that for Brandon Cooks, and I'm glad to have him back in this offense and see if he can kind of finish the season strong.
Yeah, no, he is. I'm not saying he's a great addition. He is an addition that you need. Again, when you're dealing with a backup quarterback, I need guys that I can trust. And you're still learning what Mingo is to this offense, to Cooper Rush, where he fits in. You're still learning about, whether it's Brooks one week or Florida the next week, and what Tobert's going to show up to the game. So to have some of that little bit of that steady Eddie in Brandon Cooks being in your offense is definitely something that is necessary if you're going to win tight football games, because that's what the Cowboys are going to play. They're going to play in tight football games probably the rest of the way through, right? Like you don't have a blowout offense. So you're going to probably play in some close football games from now until the end of the season. So those small little components that happen in the game, you need veteran guys to be there to make sure they can help you out, make those plays more often than not.
Yeah, and I apologize for everyone that plugged in Kevontae Turpin in our Just close, Jesse. When he took that was it a pop pass or something like? I'm like, he's gonna cut it back in for the tutty, and he ran out of bounds. I was like,
yeah, if he would have, I thought he was gonna slow down and cut back. He had a blocker coming. He had a blocker coming. I don't know why I don't know. I think he just, I don't know. But he was close a couple. I'll say this: it wasn't for a lack of them not trying. To touchdown.
5 touches today.
And that's also a plus. You saw today them giving him the ball in areas where he's able to succeed. Kevontae Turpin running go routes ain't it.
No.
It ain't it now. It ain't it later. It ain't ever going to be it.
No.
But getting Kevontae on bubble screens, pop passes, shallow crosses, things where he's able to use that speed and elusiveness, and where his small stature plays a part, where guys can't really get a grasp on him, can't really find him. He can cut behind and run away from guys. Like, that's what you want to see, and how you want to see a guy like Kevontae used in the offense a couple times a game. You don't got to spam him. He don't have to be, but get him the ball 3-4 times in those areas where he can make plays. And sure enough, he showed you again today that if you give me a chance, I may not get in the end zone for my boy Scott Walker, but I can make some plays for you.
He made some plays. We wouldn't have hit it anyway because Coop missed out on the 203 by 8 yards. He had a $195 in this game. 21 for 36, 195, the touchdown. I think an 82 quarterback rating. So another kind of just game manager game. Don't turn the ball over. Don't make the boneheaded play. We got a little bit lucky there at the end of that, on the 2-yard line when they knocked the ball out, but fortunately he was down there, and it was a couple of other throws, but it's all you can ask for, man. Don't turn the ball over. Don't try to be, big time guy. Turn around, hand it off, make the complete throws, get out of here with a clean game, and that's what happened.
Yeah, he had some throws across the middle that got tipped a couple times. Of course, this is why Dory Jackson plays DB and not wide receiver. They threw the goal ball to Brandon Cooks, and Adoree did everything but run the route and catch it, which would have been an interception for him. So, Cooper Rush, like you said, he's done some good things, just managed the game. He gets a little YOLO-ish every now and again. He hasn't been it hasn't cost him yet. But there were a few plays in this game where it could have got a little bit dicey, throwing the ball over the middle and leading some guys in some areas, balls getting tipped, and of course, like I said, the pass down the field to the go route to Brandon Cooks that Adoree Jackson, literally had 2 hands on the ball and just dropped the interception. So,
You want to see those attempts go down a little bit. If we can get those now, the rest of the game is going to be better teams. I think this Giants team is the worst team you will see for the rest of the season. But you don't really want to see him floating around 40 attempts. As you can see, 27-20 and got a little bit close there. You want to lean more, I think, on your guys in the Rico Dowdle in that sense in a game like this. But we'll see what happens moving forward.
And, when you look at the score 27-20, how big was that interception touchdown for?
Literally the difference.
It's the difference. Like, it's the difference of this game. This game, and even in that moment, the Cowboys were down
7-6. Yeah,
they were down. They were down 10. Was it 10-6?
7-6. 7-6 at that time.
Okay,
yeah.
It was 7-6 at that time. So it's like that play was a huge momentum shifter. It gave the Cowboys a lead, and ultimately, it was probably the deciding factor of this game, whether or not the Cowboys were, looking down the barrel of the gun towards the end of the game for, some sort of weird play that needed to be happening for them to win it, or them walking away with a smooth win. So that's when you hear coaches and players and front office people over and over say, hey, it comes down to about 3 or 4 plays a game that when you go back and look, because trust me, when you go back and you watch the game or watch the film in the morning, you're going to see the difference in the game was because if he does not get that interception, it might be a touchdown. Like
Tyrone Tracy can take one to the crib.
If it wasn't a touchdown, it's a 70-yard gain. There was nobody in front of him, and he had 2 blockers out there, right? And so you take that off the board, and it turns into a pick 6 on the other side. So it's those type of plays in the game. When you go back and you look, you go, man, at everything that happened in that game, one play goes a different way, and it's a 14-point swing, right? We give them 7 and lose 7. Instead, we take 7. They don't get the 7 on the board. So great play by Cavante. Great play by DeMar Overshown. And that's, to me, that was the play of the game, and it was the difference maker of the game.
100% played it. It should go down one of the best plays of the year. By an individual player. When we go back and we break it all the way down, it's going to be beautiful to see how just the little small details, how he fires on the blitz, understands that it's going to be a screen, and he pops the wide or the running back. Not only does he pop the running back, displace him, he sees that they're about to throw it, gets his hand up, tips it, finds it, and then runs in it for an end zone touchdown. That is going to be one of the best plays you'll see this season by an individual, in my opinion. And this is the 3rd consecutive game. Well, I'll say 3 out of the last 4 games, I believe, dating back to when Micah got back. This is Micah's 4th game, correct? I believe it's his 4th game.
Yes, his 4th game.
So one of my things was the dynamic duo of DeMarvion Overshown and Micah Parsons. You are seeing these 2 dudes on the field at the same time, what difference it is making. These guys bring a totally different explosiveness to this defense, and when they are on, which they have both been on in 3 of these 4 games, it has been dynamic. Micah now has 5.5 sacks in these 4 games. Overshown has a few, the big pick 6, and these guys are flushing quarterbacks seemingly all game. And Micah just was it was unfair matchup today with those tight ends and Evan Neal. They just couldn't do anything with them. They had to double, triple them half the damn time. It was a bunch of penalties and flushing out. It was a unbelievable game by those 2 combined. And then when you top it off with a guy like Osa Odighizuwa and Mozzie Smith both playing on the interior, if they play like that, I mean, that's going to be tough for many offensive lines to deal with if you can get everybody clicking like that across the defensive line.
So let me ask you this. Is, with Zim, on a 1-year deal, it takes any time you have a coordinator that comes in offensively or defensively.
Take some time.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time, right? And are you now seeing the time being well spent, or should I say the time that has passed, you now see that the defense has a little bit more understanding? Is it just simply getting back Micah? Is Mike Zim putting himself in a position to where if there is a coaching change that they try to keep him around as a defensive coordinator, knowing that if a new coach comes in here, he's bringing in a new defensive coordinator, and now we have to reset the clock again on trying to get these guys brought in, and this is going to be very big. I know I'm foreshadowing, I'm thinking ahead. This is going to be very big. If Micah's deal isn't done before we get to the OTAs and stuff like that, you may have him miss time again, which, by the way, I'm totally understand. I'm totally okay with that, right? So, like, does this make a case for Zim, if they continue on this type of trajectory, to want to bring him back, or talking about setting the clock again for a new defensive coordinator with a new scheme and new understanding and a new emphasis and a new terminology and a new da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I don't think you can make that decision until you make a head coach decision.
Okay.
We don't want to run into do we want to run into Jason Garrett before Wade Phillips? Do we want to run into Kellen Moore
what
before
I'm asking you is
Mike McCarthy?
Is he making this decision very difficult?
It's not difficult to me. If you hire a new coach and the coach wants a new DC, that's what the coach wants. If the coach wants Zim, then it's Zim. You know what I'm saying? I think it's pretty easy there, because you can't keep running in, because what happens every time you do that? You run into these guys going like this. You run into Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore not on the same page, and you waste 4 years of a potential cohesion on offense. You run into possible sabotaging when it comes to Jason Garrett and Wade Phillips. And so it's pretty cut and dry to me. Do you want Mike Zimmer back? If that head coach wants him back, then let's rock. If not, then we move on and we keep it moving. I get the continuity aspect, but it's not the end of the world. We see teams do it all the time. They bring in a new defensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator, and their defense is good. Go look at the Packers. The Packers brought in a new defense coordinator. They had one of the worst defenses, and now they got one of the best defenses. So, it's all up to the head coach to me. But that aside, because that is looking far ahead, I do think Mike Zimmer at the very least is putting out a resume that says, okay, this is what I was dealt with. This was the cards I was given, the injuries, 1-year deal, Dallas. If I'm not going to be here, somebody can hire Mike Zimmer, right? Now, he may have to start the clock over there, but I do think Mike Zimmer is 100% should get a lot of love and credit over this last month of the season, dealing with what he's dealing with and seeing these boys fight. And like we said, 6 games in a row, in my opinion, the first half, they've given the offense a chance.
No, I'm with you. Like I said, I just posing the question to see where, people's minds are at about this, because you know how this in tomorrow's going to be, how next week is going to be 2 in a row. Here we come. It's, that's on the way, but and people already been asking me in the comments on Twitter and stuff like that, hey, is Mike McCarthy, is he doing enough to save his job? And I'm just like, I mean, if you want to take the last 2 weeks and put that over the last, 10 weeks before that, then sure. But
I think two things are two things happen. There's that part of where politics play, where the Joneses say, no, we're keeping Zim to whomever the new head coach is, which I don't agree with that. I'm just sorry.
Which is not a far-fetched theory coming from the Joneses, right?
But it's very possible. They've done it. They've done it multiple times. So it would not shock me if they do that again for some of the same reasons you're saying. Continuity. They will definitely use, hey, we need continuity. We had a good year on defense last year, injuries. And that's fair. That's totally fair. But at the end of the day, you want your head coach to have guys here he's confident and comfortable with and that understand what he wants to do as well, right? Then there's the other part. Not Mike Zimmer coming back as defensive coordinator. Oh, yeah. I'm surprised that hasn't popped up, in your thought process here.
Wow.
Mike Zimmer returning with a promotion. Wow. Jesse.
Yeah,
that wouldn't shock me either.
Wow. That would shock the hell out of me.
No, think about it. Think about it for a second.
That would shock the hell out of me.
Continuity will be used in this same situation. Continuity, right? Gotcha. Micah Parsons is one of your star players. So Zim would be to Micah what a offensive head coach would be to a Dak, right? The Joneses like guys who are not going to fight them. Zim 65 years old. He ain't finna fight them. He not pushing back. They like guys that they're comfortable with, that they know. Zim has come out and said that the Joneses are friends. Steven's his friend. He's not going to have his hand in free agency and a draft for all like that. He's going to let them dudes work it, right? So, and he knows Dallas like the back of his hand, the organization. It would not shock me if they decide to move on from Mike McCarthy and this defense continues to play tough and get better and good and finish the season strong, that Zim becomes a legitimate candidate as head coach in the same way he became a legitimate candidate to be defensive coordinator when everybody laughed at it, and he got the job. So I'm just saying, don't be surprised if that's something that they think about.
I honestly not thought about that 1 second. Not saying that it's not possible.
Yeah.
I thought if there was going to be a mid-season firing or firing at some point in time during the season, that he would be the one to step in there because he has head coaching experience.
Head coaching experience, yeah. And that's the other thing. You know, they like head coach experience.
Yeah.
That's another thing to check mark.
But I'm going to be honest with you. Like the idea of him actually, outside of an interim role, being the head coach of the Cowboys did not cross my mind one time. And again, it's not because when you put it out there, it's not because it's an insane idea. I was just thinking in so many other avenues.
It's insane to me. But it's insane to me. I'm not hiring Mike Zimmer to be my head coach. But the Cowboys front office, Jerry Jones, let me say that's the guy who's going to control who's going to be here. Jerry Jones wants a guy that has experience, has been around the block, he's comfortable with. He's going to use, I'm telling you, the continuity thing is definitely going to play a factor either way, DC or head coach. It fits everything in the Jones's little box of being comfortable. He's not an outside the box. They're not an outside the box thinking organization, but it's insane to me because I don't think Zimmer's I think that time has passed, but
yeah, I think so too. But
I'll be shocked.
It's the Joneses.
It's a Joneses, man. It's a Jones. When Zim's name popped up, it was a he hell type of situation, right? Oh, Mike Zimmer gonna come here and be. Then they interview Rex Ryan, and then Mike Zimmer gets the job. And I'm just saying, man. Get ready for Al Harris to be the what do they call it? The Rooney Rule. Get ready for Zim to have his name thrown around there. But honestly, real quick, more likely to happen: Mike McCarthy coming back or Zimmer being head coach?
Mike McCarthy coming back. I
think that's more likely too. So I mean, that just goes to show you just how insane the Zimmer thing would be to me. But I think the McCarthy thing would be more realistic. And a lot of people right now are saying, has McCarthy saved his job beating the Giants and the Washington football people? What say you, Jesse?
No.
I agree.
As of today, as we sit today, I say no. I think that Jerry hears. I know that he hears what the people think.
Yes,
say.
He talks about it every week.
Yeah, I know that. I know that he understands that despite having the success in the regular season, it is yet to yield any sort of true playoff success. But when I start thinking about and we just start discussing these, head coaching hires for the future, it's a two-way street, right? Because we can want, you can want, I can want, we can want Ben Johnson. You can want, I can want, we can want Bobby Slowick.
But you got to put yourself in their thought process.
Right? Like, exactly. Not only their thought process, but and name any other coach, Brian Flores, name any other, hot shot head coach that you want, the new bloods that you want to look at. One, do they want the Cowboys back? Do they want to deal with what they seen Mike McCarthy have to deal with over the last year or so, right? Do they want to deal with the drama that comes along with being a Dallas Cowboys,
being undermined in the media, undermined behind the scenes? Like that's real life here.
That's real life. And so these people, Ben Johnson may look and go, I'm coming from a stable relationship, right? I know what it is for the GM to do GM work and stay the hell out the way, and the owners to stay the hell out the way, and how a head coach delegates things to his coordinators and the coordinators delegate things to their assistants, and how culture is set, and boom, 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 boom. And when he sees this, he goes, maybe that's not what I'm not used to that. I don't come from that. So maybe I don't even want to jump into that situation.
I mean, he turned down head coaching jobs last year.
Right. Because at the end of the day, for a guy like Ben Johnson, let's just use Ben for an example. A guy like Ben Johnson, he could just like we don't know how the Lions' year may end. The Lions' year may end in the Super Bowl. Appearance, maybe a win. I don't know. But let's just right now, coming from the NFC, they're the favorites, right? So right now, their trajectory is that they're going to probably end up in the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship, one or the other, or both. He may say, "I'll just go back. I'm comfortable there. I know it there, and I'll just wait for the next right situation, for a situation that has money available in the offseason, that has a quarterback in place, that has a stable foundation." So it's still a two-way street when it comes to a head coaching thing. That you got to want them, they got to want you too. And these young boys are a little different. They're a little different.
That's a good point, because we don't know how that is here in Dallas, because when the Cowboys did their head coaching searches for the last two hires, it really wasn't a search. When you really think about it, Jason Garrett was the guy. He was the next guy up. They knew it from 2007. There was no real search. Okay. Mm-hmm. Jason Garrett gets the can. Mike McCarthy gets brought in. There wasn't a real, Marvin Lewis was the other head coach interview. There was no real, hey, we're going to interview an up and coming young guy. It was Mike McCarthy, Marvin Lewis, and we're going to go with Mike McCarthy. There's no real search. So we don't know.
Back with Jason Garrett, there was no search. The Cowboys interviewed my wide receiver coach, Ray Sherman. Ray Sherman was never going to.
And I think Ray was there before, right? So he was never going to be the guy.
Never, ever. Like, he was on staff. He was on, like, they were never, ever, ever going to, when it went from Wade to Jason, and they had to kind of do the whole deal of, he was never going to get it. He was never going to get it. But they did the Rooney Rule situation, same thing they did with Marvin Lewis, and they went on to make. They're
going to do it with Al Harris. I'm telling you right now, Al Harris will get the interview.
You're probably 100%
and
right.
It's if they don't bring Mike back, and they'll go with an experienced guy. Now, there's other guys out there, but again, like you said, we don't truly know how some of these young up and coming minds, and it doesn't have to be the Ben Johnson. I remember the time when Tomlin and Harbaugh were young guys up and coming, and the Cowboys were like, "Nah, we got our guy. Jason Garrett's going to be our guy." Now, granted, I think that happened in like 2007. So, I think they could have got him during the Wade time, if I'm not mistaken, right? I want to say Tomlin was hired, I think 2007 or 2008, one of the two. But they could have got one of those guys, and they said, "No, we're good with Wade, we're good with JG, we're good with Mike." So based off of their history of hiring, I don't really see it being one of these young guys, but I'm hoping to be shocked. Jesse. But back to that question. Mike done enough? Not yet, but he has a chance, right? Because there's Bengals, Panthers, Bucks, Eagles, Commanders. He has a chance for them. Now, for me, unless they go on some crazy run that gets them into the playoffs and they have playoff success, then we can have a discussion, right? But that's so far fetched.
Like it doesn't even make any sense. You mean to tell me that after 3 12-5 seasons, he wasn't good enough for extension? But you're going to tell me, let's just say they run it off, right? They run it off.
I see what you're saying.
Now they're what is that? They're 9-8. They're 9-8 or 7-10 or 10-7 or whatever it is.
Right.
You mean to tell me after 3 12-5s, he wasn't good enough for an extension? But you're going to convince me now after a 9-8 or 7-10 or whatever it may be at the end of the year, that's good enough for an extension? Make that make sense to me. Like, how does that math even math? Where
it doesn't.
36, 12, 24, 36 wins wasn't good enough for an extension, but having a losing record is good enough for an extension. That to me, that would be insane. I
tell you this right now, it ain't him that's saving his job, in my opinion. If that's the case, it's Zimmer. This defense has, like we've been saying, it's been giving the offense every freaking opportunity for 6 weeks. And for 4 of the 6 weeks, and you could argue even last week, it was 13-9, Jesse. Yeah. 13, you just are 10-9. You punted the ball away because you stalled. And they get the ball back, you force a fumble, and you get a field goal out of it. It wasn't like the offenses have been doing anything, that great this year anyway. And that's Mike's job. That's his side of the ball. So,
and what you also have, you also have Zim doing his thing. you also have incentivized players,
Hmm.
right? You have Mike is an incentivized player. However you want to feel about that, like, is he going to get his deal or not? Sure, he's going to get his deal, but it makes life a lot easier if he can say, hey, I put up 4 or 5 straight years with 10 plus sacks, and I did this and I did that. You know, a guy like DeMar Overshown, he's happy to be playing football again. He missed his rookie year with the knee injury. He's just, you know, as they did say back in the day, young, dumb, and full of, you know what I'm saying? He's just happy to be out there. You know, you hear about all the other guys around there looking for deals. Osa Digizua looking for a deal, right? Like, Deron Bland will be looking for a deal. All these other guys are out there. That you have a lot of players. Jordan Lewis. You have a lot of. You go across that defensive line. There's a lot of guys who are going to be looking for deals, whether it's with the Cowboys or whether it's somewhere else. Wanye Thomas, you know, unfortunately he got hurt today. We'll be trying to do enough to come back for this team and find himself a deal. And same thing with Josh Butler, trying to find myself a roster spot. So you got a bunch of guys on this defense who, you know, you're talking about not quitting and showing out and playing well. There's a lot of incentivized players on this team, like especially on the defense. A lot of guys are incentivized to what it is that they want to do going forward, and not just for the Cowboys, for the league in general. So to go out there and put good tape out there is still a thing for these guys defensively. I'm not saying that they're not playing for their team, they're playing for themselves. I'm saying they do have an incentive to go out there and to play like their hair was on fire. And that, in conjunction with Zim and it all coming together, makes for perfect harmony to see what you've seen the last couple of weeks defensively.
I'm going to add on to that a little bit here in our final word, our final thoughts. The River, brought to you by Texas Card House. Join the premier poker experience of TCH, where the thrill of the game meets the excitement of the community, by discovering 6 premier locations across Texas, where each venue offers a unique poker experience, bringing the best of competitive and recreational play to every corner of the Lone Star State. This is The River, brought to you by Texas Card House. And I want to stay right here on the defensive side. I'm going to go back to what I was talking about earlier, because once we go back and we watch the film, and we're going to be excited for these two guys once again, DeMarvion Overshown, Micah Parsons. I think they are stacking games and film and production up next to each other to where you could look at these guys as one of the better or top 10, whatever you want to call it, duos defensively in the league. Whether you want to, limit that to front 7 or the back end plus somebody in the front 7, whatever, you're going to be hard pressed to find 10 better duos right now playing football than DeMarvion Overshown and Micah Parsons on that same field. So many times for a while we were asking for another juice player, Jesse, to go opposite of Micah, because the dude can't be on every snap, every game. It's going to happen where you don't have a big game or you don't have that type of game. Who was that other guy, right? You looked at the playoffs last year. Who was the guy when your all-pro couldn't be an all-pro in that game? There wasn't anybody. Now, were there other players out there? Yes, but no one stepped up. I've seen Demo step up. If it's not Micah making the play, it's Demo making the play. If it's not Demo making the play, it's Micah. And then when those guys are doing it, oh, snap. I got to worry about an Osa Digizua. Oh, here's Chauncey Golston making an interception. Man, Eric Kendricks just steady playing. But it all starts with Demo and Micah Parsons. I think those two guys, those are your cornerstone players moving forward. And you might just have, I said top 10, but don't be surprised next year we're talking about Demo and Micah being, two of the best there is in the business in the front 7 when it comes to a 1-2 punch on defense.
Hey, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Dallas Cowboys, give that boy that 0. Well, let's stop. Get a boy to 0.
You want to make jersey sales? There you go.
Yeah, listen, you have a superstar in the making on your hands. You like money. You like a lot of money. You like jersey sales. You want to see jersey sales go through the roof? Tell that young man 0 is now available.
Agent 0.
Nobody give a damn about no Rowdy. Don't nobody. Half the fan base don't even want Rowdy here, if you're being honest. They said when Rowdy got here is when things been going downhill. So don't deny this super stud, this young star, the opportunity to go out there and have the number that he wants. Agent Zero sounds nice. You can put a lot of things behind that.
And 007 stuff. You can get some marketing going.
There's a lot of marketing you can put behind that. And you can bring sponsorships in. You can bring marketing dollars in. I mean, there's a lot riding on the back of this young man right now, man. You got him for cheap for the next couple of years. Just give the man what he wants. Give the man number 0. It's really, really, really that simple. Just do it.
Indeed, man. Indeed. Is that your final thoughts? That's your river card?
I mean, sure. Let's go. Give the man his number. I'll say this. I'll kind of just piggyback what I said last week. Hey, Mike's from Pittsburgh, Mike from Illinois. Good job. Continue to do what you have to do. Winning doesn't have a way or form or shape. Winning is all that matters. No matter how you do it. But you've been putting game plans together that has been giving your teams a chance. And that's all you can ask for. With all the injuries and the backup and all the kind of stuff that was happening, Cowboys finally got a home win. Finally broke that streak, broke that curse. Continue it on. You get a chance to get some rest 10 days before your next football game. 11 days for your next football game. So rest up, continue to self-evaluate, continue to self-scout, continue to look ways. You had Mike from Pittsburgh. You had some juice offensively. I saw some things offensively. I was like, okay, I like that. I like this. You were adding some things in there with a little different wrinkles to it. You had the running game going. You were able to manage this thing through with a musical chairs offensive line. That's a good thing. You kept your quarterback upright by the game plan that you put out there. Don't go rogue. Don't go rogue. Stick to the rivers and lakes that you used to. Don't go chasing waterfalls, fellas. Just stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to, and you'll give yourself a chance in every single game. And that's all you want to be able to do is give yourself a chance.
Cowboys are back at it. 11 days. You usually don't see this. They're either the very next Thursday or at the very least the Sunday. They got a Monday night football game coming up against the Bengals at home, I believe, too. So they'll get back-to-back home games. So they'll get the Bengals coming in here on Monday night.
That's going to be big.
That's
going to be big.
That's a big one.
The Bengals record is not indicative, at least offensively. Like when you go back and you look at some of the numbers of Joe Burrow, he has some really good numbers. Of course, you know what Jamar Chase is as a receiver, really good numbers. So all those things definitely don't necessarily speak to what their record is. So should be a fun one in about 11 days. Yeah,
this one is going to be, this is the one I think that will really set off the nation if they can get and again, the Bengals aren't a good team, but they have a really good offense. So like you said, that record is not indicative of what their offense is, the quarterback, the players on that side of the ball. So if they go out there, the defense stifles them, they walk away with a victory 3 in a row, you are going to hear the noise get the loudest it's been since the win against Pittsburgh. And boy, will we be eating that all up, Jesse. So we will see what happens. In the meantime, in between time, I'm not sure about you, but my Thanksgiving off starts tomorrow, so I'll have this 3-day weekend.
Mine too.
I'll be back on Monday.
Too.
I'll see y'all Monday, man. Yeah, we up out of here, man. So see y'all Monday. Jesse, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. I hope it was a good one. I know the Cowboys helped make it a lot better. And yeah, this is a flex one, but we're going to flex to Pastor Shirley one more time.
Look at here. Look. I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chicken, turkeys, rabbits, you name it. Look.
Happy Thanksgiving, Cowboys Nation. We out of here.
I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams.